Hi, everybody. I'm Yolanda Marie. For those of you who have seen prior videos and have visited my channel before, you know I was in Wisconsin before. So now I'm finally back in Florida, and I'm going to do a quick reading, or actually, I've already laid the cards, as you may already have guessed. So the first card that came out is all about choices. I hope you can see that. All about choices, okay? And so, what they want you to know with that is that you are just going to be almost bombarded, is the word that I heard, some of you. But it's also a collective thing. It's about collective choices. For some reason, I've been getting a lot of just collective energy readings. And of course, this reading is general, but sometimes it applies to just some individuals, and then other individuals may not experience it. This is more of a collective. There are a lot of collective pushes going on right now. Okay, and in one way, this is a clarifier, or rather pushing the collective, the entire human consciousness, to clarify where they are right now. Not in any permanent way, but we've been through stages of this restructuring, and then some clarity about the restructuring, and now you've just got choices presented to you, or you will be having a lot of choices to examine. Okay. And so, but the clarifier for this choices card that came out is the solar plexus. All right. And it's all about your desire and your will. So you are going to need to maintain your will to move forward a little bit. We are moving into a retrograde soon. And this is maintain passion, is what I'm here. Stay passionate about what it is that you are already clear about, and you will be bringing in, or rather have more choices appear to you, but you will need to maintain your will, your desire. Stay hooked up to the heart through this. Okay, make sure that your desire is connected to your heart, your divine purpose, in guiding you in making these choices. Okay? All right, that's what just came through there. So the card that they laid down after that is this Five of Hearts right here. This Five of Hearts is about moving through past and learning from mistakes or experiences, because what is a mistake, right? A mistake, as we would define it from our expanded self, would be an experience that we have had that, if we were able to dictate how it would go, or if we rather had the knowledge prior that we have now, we might do it differently. Okay? But there's nothing that's gone wrong per se, right? It's still a step to a step to a step to a step, and it's more about your soul evolution. So we do have to be careful about the word mistake. But now, moving through that is a very emotional process, or can be, and things are still appearing to us to be cleared, to be transmuted, and to be understood. And more on that. There are some messages that have been wanting to come through for a while from my Orion guide and the Orions in general. And there's a lot on that about understanding the nature of humanity and the reason for being here in the first place, the reason that you chose to come here, the reason that all humans are here, and experiencing the polarity, but rather more so experiencing what it is like to bridge the polarity and heal it. Heal the, and I'm hearing, it's a strange phrase, negative exponent is what wanted to come out. I don't know what they mean by that, but healing, and they did say the negative exponent of the polarity. So that's them, not me. So I'm going to have to go back and examine the word exponent and figure out what they mean by that exactly, okay? And some of you, I'm sure, will too. So that card does tend to bring up those emotions and those feelings, right? The clarifier for that, indeed, is heartache and loss. Heartache and loss, okay? Now, it does seem like a very negative thing, but each of these things is a step to a step to a step to a step. And there will be some losses to come that feel rather tumultuous at the time. Be careful not to allow these losses to shift your focus, but rather see them as much as you can from the broader perspective of what is already transpired and see where it fits into that perspective. Also see where the healing can occur. Because now you are embracing more of that healing power that you have, which is the power of sight, the power of being able to see it healed, know it healed, be the receiver of it being healed, so that it appears to you in your sphere, in your environment, shows up to you in your world as healed. Okay? And the overall energy is definitely moving into a place of light, into the sun, into definitely clarity, but healing. Okay, this entire thing is moving toward healing. So the choices that are presenting themselves to you, or the situations that you'll have to navigate through, it can often mean that, not in a bad way. There's different situations going on that you will have to stretch yourself and reach into your divine self to respond to. Okay, as that's happening, and as you are moving through this process, it's all for the purpose and understanding, or all moving toward, rather, this state of healing. The reason that these things keep appearing to us this way, the sun and the clarity and healing, is because that is where we are choosing to move now. We are choosing to not continue to go to buoy back down into the lower frequencies and stay there. And so because of that individual and especially collective choice, okay, big theme in my next message that I just received that I'm going to publish later, okay? Because of that, you are going to get a lot of messages where, yes, you're going to have these moments, but ultimately it is because you are blooming again. And that's part of our job, our responsibility, and our joy right now is to get used to feeling like that, to get used to feeling like everything does not have to be a continued drama. Everything does not have to go back down so far or go back to the other end of the pole so far that we can't see our way back. There is more of a balance, and we are very used to joy. This is what we are getting used to. Now, in the subconscious position, we have courage and strength here. Okay, that has a lot to do with this solar plexus. Do you remember that was the clarifier for those choices that you're going to be driven to make decisions about, okay? So you're going to have to, within that divine will, keep your strength, okay? And that's the underlying subconscious. Now, that can be, as always, with the subconscious, meaning it does parallel that clarifier, but really it's what's driving the reading. And so it is your desire for more strength, for more foundation, for more of that will that is even driving that you will have to make these choices. It is a lesson, if you want to use that word, that you're teaching yourself, that we're teaching ourselves. So that's all of that's mixed in together. And another subconscious card, there will be mental conflict. And again, it's a driver. It's in the subconscious position, which means it's driving this reading, which means you not being completely clear yet about some things is the reason why these situations may appear, or these things may appear. Now, with these Galactic Heritage cards, the themes that came out with the Galactic Heritage deck are so significant. And I will tell you that I was getting readings from those cards on a collective level before about reshaping and reforming how we receive our abundance. But they weren't overarching themes, at least in those moments. There were other themes that the Arcturians wanted to present more. There were more urgent themes, but that is still underneath. Many themes like that are still underneath, things being rewritten in the grid, okay? So we may come back to that concept at another time, okay? But the first card that came out is called, it's from the Pleiades, okay? And it's called An Imbalance in Positive Polarity. And the reason that this is represented by the Pleiades, the Pleiadians, is because they have experienced this. They have been in the past. This card is represented by the past, or in the past, okay? The Pleiadians at one point felt very balanced, but didn't realize that they were no longer allowing the shadow side of themselves to come in and be balanced with the light, okay? So they were on the opposite end of what we're going through now. They were very, very, very full of light, and they could see where other civilizations needed to come more into the light, where their polarity was imbalanced, but they themselves did not realize that they were not integrated as much on both ends of the pole, okay? And without this realization, they interrupted a process, so to speak, sort of. I don't want to use the word meddled. There was a word that was trying to come through, but they involved themselves, okay, with other civilizations. And in doing so, they had one of their own planets destroyed. And this, as many of you may have heard of, the Orion conflict, the Orion Wars. And yeah, what is represented in Star Wars is really the subconscious truth coming out, okay, about what happened to a Pleiadian planet when they meddled and were helping people escape the Orion system, I believe. Okay, I may have a detail or two, but the general theme of what I'm saying is what happened, okay? And so they realized that they had to really look at all sides of themselves and also allow others to experience to an extent as well. But it really taught them a powerful lesson. But what this says for us is that it's a reminder, and it is a huge theme that's going on right now, and that we are really needing to embrace, and it's getting out of judging everything as dark or light, good or bad, right or wrong, and looking at all of the sides of ourselves and balancing ourselves first so that we may look at everything through the lens of discernment. We've talked about this before, just clear discernment, not necessarily the judgment, okay? I'm waiting to see if the Pleiadians are agreeing. We agree with you. Okay, they're just saying we agree with you. And they were helping me to answer this. Okay? And so this is definitely going to come in very strong right now, because I have noticed whenever I pull one of these cards, you know, and it comes through, it is a strong theme in that moment moving forward. So this is a very strong push for us right now to make sure that we are looking at all sides of ourselves and really coming out of choosing a side. It's not that we are not going to help where needed. Discernment is understanding what is wrong. So we do need to understand what's wrong and try to right the wrong, but stay in discernment and don't get overly involved in one side or the other. Okay? So we may come back to that. They may have some more for that. But this next one that came out after it, I couldn't even believe how it came out. This is called Black League Patterning. Again, directly associated with the last card. The card about the Pleiades, okay? And balancing the polarities, okay? The Black League is something similar, again, in what we see in Star Wars, who are called the Jedi. And they were freedom fighters, basically, trying to break themselves free of the web, the net, that might sound very familiar to you, that souls were caught in when they couldn't escape. Okay. Also trying to free physical beings. During many of the wars in Orion, they were always working to fight the Empire, right? Okay, very familiar. Okay. And what we want to be careful of, what this is saying here, and is warning us about, is that you can't fight fire, or rather, it's not advantageous to fight fire with fire. This is what the Black League was doing during the Orion Wars. And it wasn't as helpful because they were using what you would call the enemy, right? The oppressor, using the tools of the oppressor to try and become free, to gain freedom. And so it was just butting heads, just fighting fire with fire. And so they had to eventually learn that they must rise above and use different tools to free themselves. Okay, in truth, that is what happened. And then the subconscious, this one shocked me a little bit, the subconscious, okay? It's called survival fears from the Zeta Reticuli. This card is all about how underneath everything, we may not consciously be aware of this, and I was not. There is a fear that we won't survive this, that humans will not survive what is going on, or at least there was a fear that humans will not survive into this new earth. The fear is still there that even with all of the work that we're doing, we will fail, and humans will, eventually extinguish themselves somehow, or that darkness will somehow still win, but that this planet will no longer inhabit humans, something like that, just a deep fear of loss, okay? And so that's something that we may not realize is still there, but it is still there and is very much driving the continued imbalance in polarity in either direction. Many sides believe they are right. This is the issue with choosing sides. Instead, see from the larger perspective at all times, inasmuch as you can still experience as a human and have this perspective and maintain this perspective. So that's what the Arcturians had to say, okay, about that. And so I certainly, for whatever reason, it never occurred to me that there was such a thick layer of this fear still entangled deeply within us, okay, collectively, individually, and definitely it's something that we're going to have to allow to come up and address. So this is on a galactic level we're talking about, helping to allow the human species to not only survive but thrive. So really big overarching themes came out there that it was really interesting to see that come through. So I'm interested to hear, if you want to leave below, if you have any experience with any of those themes that came from the Galactic Heritage deck. I'd be really interested to know that in the comments. I've been noticing that people have been leaving awesome experiences of their own. And I think that's so great, because then other people they'll read through those and understand that they're not alone in this, that this is something that we are all experiencing together. So I'm grateful. I'm really grateful that you're doing that. Please continue to do that. That's so awesome. And so I love you as always. Love you so much. I hope that this reading made sense. There's a little bit more of an energy read, if you will, and it'll push through into the next 3-ish months, okay, about some things that you might be expecting, some more overarching themes, but of a different nature, okay, that I was really and am still really feeling, and you might be feeling too. So I'll get that out to you, okay? I love you so much, my friends. Namaste. Namaste.